Hey guys, this is Attorney Walter Knott. We're going to be going into basically something written by NPR in politics area. Judge sanctions Trump allies and orders legal education for failed election lawsuit. Updated August 25th, 2021, 8:35 p.m. So about 5 days ago, Elena Wise. Alright, or Weiss. I never know how any of these people pronounce their last name. 9 lawyers, including Sidney Powell, pictured allied with former President Donald Trump, face financial penalties and other sanctions after a judge said Wednesday they had abused the court system to undermine the 2020 election. 9 attorneys aligned with former President Donald Trump who filed an unsuccessful lawsuit challenging Michigan's 2020 presidential election results will have to pay financial penalties and face other punitive actions for their legal effort, a district judge ruled on Wednesday. Now, I'm hoping this article goes into details as to why. It may just be a puff piece that's like, this is what we saw, it's a general yada yada. I'm hoping it goes into detail because, in my opinion, from my industry, the legal industry, this is one of the biggest things that's ever occurred within the past 50 years. Right? And yet all the attorneys that I know are turning their head completely away from it, like they're just afraid to even think about it. Governors were threatening to completely, if anybody wanted to talk about it and go into it and file based on it, that they were going to go ahead and, file bar complaints or remove their bar ticket. Well, remember, governors have no control over the bar ticket. They don't. The only group that has control over the bar ticket is the state authorized group, which is, the Michigan bar, the Florida bar, the Texas bar, the California bar, the Maine bar, the New Jersey bar, whatever. It's the bar association that has control over that. But yet they made a lot of threats, and that was part of politics, because politics is probably the thing that slows down society the most at this point. Used to be other stuff, but now it's probably politics. But what's interesting is that a judge is going to punish them. I'm hoping it's not a puff piece. I haven't read it yet. Let's go into it. This lawsuit represents a historic and profound abuse of the judicial process. U.S. District Judge Linda Parker wrote in her scathing decision on the case. Now remember, this is just a district judge, right? There's a circuit above that, and then there's a Supreme Court above that, and this might go to the Supreme Court. It is one thing to take on the charge of vindicating rights associated with an allegedly fraudulent election, she wrote. It is another to take on the charge of deceiving a federal court and the American people into believing that rights were infringed, without regard to whether any laws or rights were in fact violated. This is what happened here. So the judge is saying the facts did not support the election, specifically for Michigan, fraudulent claims that were being presented. The ruling stems from a lawsuit brought by the attorneys, including Trump backers Sidney Powell and Lynn Wood, which sought to decertify Michigan's election results under the false pretense that ballots had been manipulated in Joe Biden's favor. Okay. Trump and his allies sought to overturn election results in a number of states, often urging local elected officials to step in to help their cause. Out of office, Trump has continued to spread baseless claims about fraudulent election. That lie was a direct catalyst for the deadly January 6th U.S. Capitol insurrection, during which supporters of the former president stormed the national seat of democracy and attempted to halt the certification of Biden's election win. This case was never about fraud. It was about undermining the people's faith in our democracy and debasing the judicial process to do so, Judge Parker wrote. This is going to be a fluff piece. We're almost at the end of it, and there's hardly any facts in here. This is a fluff piece. After the lawsuit failed, the state of Michigan and the city of Detroit asked the judge to sanction the 9 attorneys. She agreed Wednesday, ordering them to pay costs incurred by the state and the city to defend against the legal action. The costs have not yet been tallied. At a July hearing, Powell said she took full responsibility for the lawsuit's paperwork. Powell told the judge she'd practice law with the highest standards. Parker also ordered the 9 attorneys named in the ruling to receive 12 hours of legal education, 6 of which will focus specifically on election law. They could face possible further action in the individual states in which they practice. All right, this was a puff piece. NPR usually produces better material than this. This was a puff piece. Usually what we see from NPR is an analysis as to what's going on. How they made arguments. Things that they believe were true that turned out to not be able to be proven. I would have liked to have seen that. I think that this election situation is crucial for future generations of attorneys to understand what happened, what went wrong, what did go right, what didn't go right, where people... And here's what law school is all about. It's understanding where a claim would flip, right? What's the little thing that would change to make it flip? And with this, it's very clear. There was no smoking gun evidence that proved, at least in their eyes, that the election had any fraud to it that was of a measurable means, right? Every election has fraud to it at the presidential level, but to them, this was not a measurable means that would have been material to the outcome of essentially the presidential election. So what I think is interesting here is that the judge did not find any factual basis for that. Now remember, this is district stuff, which means that we're talking about, states here, not states here, not states here, not states here in the United States. Then we get to basically the circuit court if they appeal it, which, of course, this is going to be appealed. Then the interesting thing will happen. Then we will get to the point where it's been appealed through the circuit court with whatever decision they come up with, and it will go to the Supreme Court of the United States. I have no clue what will happen at that point. I have not been able to keep up with it because I've been working until 2 a.m. to find out what's going on. But I do think it's interesting, and I do think it's relevant. And here's why. The outcome of a presidential election defines what kind of rights, obviously, those receiving SSA benefits will either have or not have. Under the Trump administration, it's very clear as day. When he picked Commissioner Saul ran the SSA like it was a big business. He came out with a lot of rules in 2017 and 2020. Those were the big releases. There were ones in between, 18, 19, etc. And 21, geez, God, April 2nd, all the musculoskeletals changed. He came out with rules left and right to make it significantly harder for people to be found disabled. He changed massive, basic things that we were accustomed to. We've been using since the 1970s. We've been using since the 1950s. So they got changed. I don't think anybody can argue successfully that Commissioner Saul made it easier for people to be found disabled. In fact, I don't think anybody would agree that Commissioner Saul made it much more difficult for people to be able to go ahead and appeal these claims into the Appeals Council, especially with the rule about, and I don't know if I've done a video on it yet, I might have, especially with the rule pertaining to how much the weight of your evidence is worth next to the weight of the evidence of the CEME, which is the medical expert on behalf of the SSA. Naturally, your brain would say, well, of course, my doctor that I've been going to for 5 years would have a better opinion as to my medical condition than the CEME, the medical expert provided by the SSA that I go see once, and that's it. And your brain would be correct. But under the new standard of Commissioner Saul, your brain might not be correct, which means we all know the Republicans under the Trump administration were not favorable towards Social Security benefits. And we all know that we don't want to go back to that because it's just going to continue to make it harder. Now, is there a lot of fraud in Social Security land? Yeah, it's a huge amount of fraud. There's a lot of people out there playing basketball for musculoskeletal-based weight-bearing joint issues that have no reason to be on disability benefits. They don't. But then you throw on the anxiety and the depression and maybe you get it there, etc. I get that. I understand that. I understand. But I think we can both agree there are truly disabled people, not just people claiming I have COPD, who aren't even close to meeting the FEV number, or any of the numbers related to the test. Guys, and maybe I should do a video on perspective, but when you're sitting there going like, I've got COPD, I could probably get it. And you're still able to like run down the street, jog down the street, ride a bicycle, walk a mile, walk a football field. Let me explain something to you. There is a VA vet who is missing a left hand and a right foot and probably has seen some pretty gruesome things. That spot of money for disability benefits, right? We would expect that to go to the vet who is obviously in a more disabled condition than the person who can walk a football field and still be fine, even though they're claiming, hey, I got COPD, issues. Perspective. Think about that. Now, I have not heard anything new with Kishikaze, the new commissioner. I don't know what's going on with her. I haven't seen things in the news about her. I haven't searched a lot, but I would like to see more things happening. I am a little bit concerned that the SSI Restoration Act, the Social Security 2100 Act, are not being promoted forward. I know that everybody's waiting till October for the actuary response to come out. I get that. I'm cool with that. But I expect the new commissioner of the Social Security Administration to go ahead and make some waves, do some updates once we get to, essentially, the end of October, beginning of November 2021. I want to know what's going to happen. I want to know where this whole ship is going. Democrats almost always are more supportive of retirement, disability, supplemental security income, etc. I'm hoping for a lot of big things here. I think Saul was not the right guy for doing, essentially, the Social Security Administration. I think Saul was the right guy for leading a corporation. I think Saul was the right guy for maybe running, financial aspect of investments for the country to make more money from investments. I do not think Commissioner Saul was the right guy specifically for commissioner of the Social Security Administration. But I am wary and I am nervous about what's going to happen going forward, because the ship is now turned one way. To turn it back would be difficult. It would be difficult, but within the purview, within the capabilities of Commissioner Kijikazi, I have a lot of faith that she's going to go ahead and get us to a much better place than we are right now. But I'm nervous. And if you guys think I know what's going to happen, I don't. And if you guys think somebody else, who's talking about what's definitely going to happen is going to happen, they don't know either. They don't. They have no clue. It might go this way. It might go that way. All these other, news anchors, YouTubers, they don't know. And I want you to understand that. That's what's so scary about the investment right now. A lot of disability firms that I know are getting out of disability law and going into VA law. I know that. I know a lot of disability attorneys are de facto going to retire shortly. I know that. They're giving over their practices to other attorneys. I know that. Disability benefits need to change. There needs to be an increase in benefits. Timelines need to be changed. How long you wait for Medicare, how long you wait for SSDI benefits to be able to start paying for back pay. All that stuff needs to be changed. Will it come? Who knows? I don't know. I'm not in a political position. I abhor politics. There are aspects of politics that remind me of the witch trials back in the day. You will essentially burn somebody on a stake and claim that the problem has been fixed. But what you've really done is committed murder and made the whole thing worse. But people are controlled better because now they fear the fire. Anyways, guys, I will catch you a little bit later. Have an absolutely wonderful day. My name is Attorney Walter Knott, Disability Resolution PA. Real quick, if you like this channel, please subscribe, like, and leave 5 stars. They're in the area below. And then also, if you want to catch up, ask me a question. If you want to call me up and beat me up, Thursday, 8 to 10 Eastern Standard Time, you call the number below. We'll go live, and I'll help out anybody that has questions. Have an absolutely wonderful day. Thank you so much, and I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.